good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new live episode of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I'm your host, Alvin King. Happy Friday to all of you. It is the Labor Day weekend and the official end to summer, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And tonight, for our Let's Get Newsy edition, we want to look back at the month of August. And let me just say, this has been a month that we will remember. We are now just a little over 100 days into Donald Trump's return to the White House. And in the short amount of time, the disorder and confusion coming out of this administration have been nothing short of breathtaking. From spreading hate and division to rewriting laws or even attempting to rewrite history, this man has been on the wide-scale mission to reshape America in his own image. And nowhere is this clearer than in how he continues to target African-American history, particularly around slavery, in ways that threaten to erase the truth of who we are and where we come from. But August alone has been a masterclass in how quickly this administration is willing to use power. In just the last 30 days, he deployed the National Guard onto the streets of Washington, D.C., attempting to take control of the nation's capital in ways we have never seen before. He gave the green light to the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, to completely redraw congressional maps that will reshape who has a voice in government for years to come. And yet, when Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, made similar moves, suddenly he cried foul, calling it illegal. The hypocrisy is not limited to redistricting, though. The administration has touched everything from environmental justice to state emergencies to LGBTQ rights in every corner of our nation in ways big and small. The fingerprints of this administration are leaving their mark. So tonight, as we unpack August, we're just not looking at the headlines. We're looking at how these stories connect, how they impact our lives, and what they will tell us about the future we're heading into. This has been a month we cannot afford to forget because it raises some hard questions for all of us. When you look back at the month of August, do you think we're seeing a pattern that's going to define the rest of this administration, or are these just isolated power moves to, once again, distract us? And even more, how do we, as everyday citizens, start preparing ourselves to push back against policies that seem designed to divide us and erase our voices? Tonight, I'm telling you, I'm on a mission to make sure that you all stay aware and wake up and just look at what's happening. The month of August, not that I've been in a fog, but for some reason, the month of August just came in and just like gut punched me in ways that I didn't think I could be gut punched. But we're here tonight and we're going to get newsy with you. And thank you all for being here on our Friday night before Labor Day. And you know I don't do what I do without these cats. So if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat. It's
Hello,
Labor
guys.
Day. It's Labor Day. It's Labor Day in D.C. Where you at? Where you at?
Labor Day, but unfortunately, some people will still be working, which is the sin of the holiday.
Oh, some people will still be working.
Yes.
I think somebody must be him because he seems.
You sound a little bitter. Okay, are you? Is it you?
I'm off Labor Day, but I think it's a sin that everyone isn't off on Labor Day.
Well, somebody got to do it. Okay, Sean.
I got no comment. I'm in education. I'm off, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, look, first of all, happy Labor Day to some of our viewers. Monica, Kendall, Michelle, Bowie, Sean, yes. Dr. Cool, Alma is here. Jesus Christ. George is here. Alma's here. Welcome.
Hey, Kendall. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the show. Happy Labor Day to all of you. Happy Labor Day weekend. Okay.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Tools, I'm sorry, can we say that she says she's so excited for this episode, glad to be talking truth. Well, we're gonna try. We one way or another. But thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to get us kicked off this evening with a story that's very personal to me. As you all know, I'm a very, very proud Howard University graduate.
Yes,
You know, exactly. You know, ain't you know. But there's a little bit of stuff going on down the hill from us right now. Some of you may know, and in the surprising announcement, the Howard University president, Ben Vinson, is stepping down after just 2 years. His departure comes at an extremely unusual time. If you're in education, you certainly know that the start of the school year is not a time when people, just step down. They may announce that they're going to be leaving in a time moving forward, but they don't just immediately step down. Board President Leslie Hale said, "We understand that this news may be surprising to some coming at the start of the year." And President Vinson's statement said, "As we stand on this threshold of this new academic year, I am filled with optimism and hope for what lies ahead. And let us continue to embrace the spirit of Howard University." This was part of his statement in leaving. And as I said, he's only been president for 2 years. Now, his presidency has been marked with some controversy around things like housing and some billing situations and so forth. So knowing some families personally, I should say, who are parents of Howard students right now, I have heard directly from them some of the challenges that they have faced. Now, again, it's been a minute or two since I was at Howard University. Some of those things were certainly, they resonated with me because I remember having difficulties around certain aspects of my experience there. It did not take away from the overall experience, but one would certainly think that these are things that should be addressed certainly at this time. What's also really interesting and important is that he will be replaced on an interim basis by the former President Wayne Frederick, who was the president who left just before he came back. And part of me as an educator certainly says that is based upon the fact that the last thing they need right now, given that their president has stepped down at the beginning of the school year, is someone who needs to come in and try to learn the university and all of that. Right. President Frederick had a long and I think relatively successful history as president there. And so it makes sense to at least have him come back in order to allow for some continuity. But how long he will remain as interim president, has not been announced, but it certainly is an interesting issue and one that I hope that they'll get settled sooner than later.
I do have one question.
Yes.
With that, how did they get here? Do you know, Bobby? How did Howard get here with all this chaos with the housing? And it seemed to happen right when the students were getting ready to come back to school. And some of them have even taken out GoFundMe pages.
Wow.
To pay for this.
Well, things like this don't happen overnight. I can tell you that. A lot of work goes into the placement selection of a college university level president. So what it says to me is that things had reached a point that they could not be justified. You put someone in at this stage in this way when you are trying to prove to your clientele, your community members, whether it's the faculty as well, because if a president loses a vote of confidence within the faculty or something like that, these are the kinds of things that make changes automatic. And I would imagine if you had enough parents, because some of the stories that I was hearing in terms of some of my friends arriving and things not being in order, you have enough of those parents, they will go to the board and go, something has got to change. Yeah. It's got to change. So
I just hope
certainly signals that things were very serious.
I just hope that whatever happens at Howard University doesn't end up being a repeat of what we saw at FAMU, Florida A&M University. Mm-hmm. Where, they had a big to-do regarding their president, and a conservative was put in place. And things haven't been good down there since then, but that's
well, these things that, what you have to do is make change that maintains a sense of trust and confidence in a college or university. The Howard, and I'm not saying it because I went there, but it's always been seen as one of the premier HBCUs in the nation. So the eyes are constantly on that school to kind of set the bar. And when you've got schools, let's face it, let's look at some of these schools like Morehouse and Spelman and Lincoln. I mean, there are other HBCUs out there, Florida A&M, that that have in the past certainly held their own and been able to really keep that expectation and that level of expectation high. So I think they had to do this. It's unfortunate, but I think they had to do it in order to maintain confidence.
Wow. Get through it, Howard.
Thank you.
I wish nothing but the best for Howard.
Thank you. All my Howardites, hang in there.
Yes. So for this next story, I think this is something that's going to impact all of us down the road eventually. So I have been following with Gavin Newsom, who is now the governor of California for quite some time, probably about 25 years when he first became mayor of San Francisco. But Alvin touched on this a bit earlier when he talked about redistricting in Texas and now in California. So this is from the Public Policy Institute of California. What they are writing. Redistricting has once again emerged on the national agenda well before its normal return at the beginning of each decade. Of course, we know this is after we have a census. So we haven't had a census, of course, since 2020. So this redistricting is really out of order. Needless to say, Texas Republicans are planning to withdraw their congressional districts to add 5 more seats for their party, and California Democrats want to respond with 5 more for their side. In Texas's plan, all decisions lie with the legislator and governor, while California's proposal will be presented to California voters by the governor and legislator for an up or down majority vote. This vote is still months away. The idea is to schedule a special election for November, but what we do know now about how voters might approach this is California is reliably a blue state, but voters are typically have unfavorable views of both major parties, and their relatively low approval of electoral officials and their general sour mood may complicate the path for the Democratic Party in terms of Gavin Newsom in the DNC getting more seats to counteract what's happening in Texas. So this battle between California and Texas, I don't think is going to end with these 2 major states. I think we're going to see some of this come out of New Jersey. There's talk about Virginia as well, where this could happen. I don't know, guys. This pretty cool. It's withdrawal.
We're having some technical difficulty hearing you, Sean.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties with you. And while you're doing that, Dr. Toole put up a message that redistricting. She just read that Missouri's Republican governor has now been told to redistrict to find another illegal Republican seat in Missouri. Wow! So it's happening across the board. For those of you who don't or haven't been following this whole redistricting issue that has happened in Texas, you need to follow that because that's really, really important. So you need to. So thank you for that, Sean. Thank you. I'm sorry, was there anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, I'm sorry that you're not really hearing. I'm going to try something different with the sound. But no, you said it all. Just keep watching this because it's going to end up impacting all of us at some point.
Well, thank you. Well, and let me see, Dr. Toole said, because Dr. Toole has been reading. I love you. She said Trump just ordered Missouri, and there's talk of Indiana doing the same. This will spread across the country. It's like a fungus, and it's happening. So again, for those of you who don't know about it, please get into it. Tonight, our show is about sending you a message. Al McGill, you did say something also. Let me read it.
And I have to tell you, it was funny what she said. She talked about hanging out on Howard's campus so much that they thought she went to school there.
You know what? You're going to make me pull out my Donna Summer bag, girl. Okay, but you're going to make me do it. How you doing, Marco Mays? Thank you for being here tonight. Well, guys, I have to say this. I don't say this often, but I want more. I want more. I want more. More. I'm talking about Wes Moore, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I'm talking about Wes Moore. Okay, Governor of Baltimore. Okay. In this moment, when Donald Trump is trying to bully his way back into the national stage, sending, like I said, guard troops into states and labeling cities as crime-ridden or trouble, it is refreshing. No, it is inspiring to see a leader like Governor Wes Moore, step up while Trump is trying to tear down Baltimore with his words. Governor Moore reminds us of our resilience. He shows the nation that Baltimore is not broken. Baltimore is strong, and it is hopeful, and it is proud. And let me be clear. The Orange Man has even tried to spread lies saying that Governor Wes Moore, put that face up, Governor Moore, Governor Wes Moore once called him a great guy. That somehow Wes Moore is in his corner, but that is absolutely not true, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Governor Moore has shown with dignity and strength that he will never bend to Trump's bullying. He stands firm, not with anger, but with truth. And when the Key Bridge was destroyed over a year ago and Trump tried to play politics with the rebuilding effort, Governor Wes Moore fought back. He made it clear Baltimore will not rebuild, not halfway, not delayed, but fully and with urgency. He is fighting for them, for the families, for the workers, the entire Maryland community that depends on this bridge. I'm giving Wes Moore his props right now because Wes Moore is not just standing up to Donald Trump. He is standing up for Baltimore, for Maryland, and for the truth. And that kind of leadership built on resilience, dignity, and courage to keep fighting for Baltimore is exactly what we need right now. I'm sorry. That's a positive message. I want more.
Well, you're going to get more, Mr. Wes Moore, and he's taking note from Gavin Newsom, and we just need more Democrats to do the same thing. We need more Democrats to follow Wes Moore. We need more Democrats to follow Gavin Newsom, and we need these people to actually not be afraid of what this man's going to threaten. And I'm going to get into later on some things regarding Justice 40 and FEMA in terms of Wes Moore, but I'm going to say that for later. But we need to start fighting fire with fire. And right now, only two men are doing that, Governor Wes Moore and Governor Gavin Newsom.
Well, you're up. You might as well get into the boys. We got you here now. You didn't brought it up, Sean, so you might as well go ahead and get into it. Okay.
Well,
you might as well.
Okay. Well, this story, of course, is about FEMA. I'm sorry, about the federal government, Trump, that is. He's cutting federal support for environmental justice. So let me read you something here that I thought was very, very interesting regarding what he's doing. So he's cutting an initiative that was signed by Joe Biden, an executive order called 14008. And this initiative basically was to give money to help mitigate environmental injustices in communities across the country, including communities of color. Okay, and let me first say this. Okay, so for the first time in our nation's history, the federal government has made it a goal that 40% of the overall benefits of certain federal climate, clean energy, affordable and sustainable housing, and other investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized by underinvestment and overburdened by pollution. President Biden made this historic commitment when he signed Executive Order 14008 on tracking the climate crisis at home and abroad within days of taking office. To continue delivering on his environmental justice vision, President Biden signed Executive Order 14096 on revising our nation's commitment to environmental justice for all in April 2023. Now we have this initiative being overturned by Donald Trump. What I want to mention earlier regarding Wes Moore is that we all remember that in Western Maryland, where you have a lot of Donald Trump supporters, there was a flood, and people are still wondering about getting help from the federal government, and it's not happening. But closer to home, a lot of people were looking at putting solar panels on their homes. DC has a program that will allow you to get solar panels for free. That program which was part of this initiative, is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were planning to put solar panels on your home because of to save energy, to give back to the environment in terms of some clean energy, then you might want to look at this now because, like I said, this has been cut, and justice for the initiative is going away for the most part because it's Orange Man, and we're going to be suffering in terms of these programs like free panels or environmental justice in Black neighborhoods, or in Arizona dealing with the heat wave in indigenous communities. So it's not good all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and our environment, I mean, there was a time in my life, I'm going to be honest with you, where I'm going to honestly say, I'm sorry, I could care less about having a discussion about the environment. You know what I'm saying? There was a moment in my life that it just wasn't important. But over these last 20 years, we have seen the importance of having funding for our environment to protect it. And that's something that's impacting all of us. So it's really kind of hard for me, again, another gut punch, that they think that when we have these issues or there's no funding to protect us from certain environmental issues, that it doesn't affect them.
Let me bring this closer to home for you all. We all live in Washington, D.C., and there have been many studies now to show that those folks who live in Ward 7 and 8 in Washington, D.C., which is across the river, when it comes to the temperature, the weather in that part of the city compared to Northwest D.C., is hotter across the river. Okay, and why is that? Because they don't have the environmental financial support they needed to do things like keeping neighborhoods cooler with trees or better sidewalks or water runoff. So this stuff is real.
It is very real.
There was a reason that the Environmental Protection Agency was developed, and it was certainly one of the first agencies that saw some really swift budget cuts with this current administration that seems to have very little belief in issues of climate change at all. Protecting water and air and all those things has never been more important. And when we see the types of weather catastrophes that we've been facing, whether it be the wildfires, the torrential downpours and floods and so forth, the melting of ice glaciers in places where ice has been solid for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, it's very serious and it's very real and it's very scary, as you both have pointed out, because we have leadership right now, including when it comes to our own personal health, not just the health of the environment, but our own health, that really just does not seem to believe and trust in science.
Yeah. Well, I see that we have, first of all, I've never seen this person. And first of all, I love the name, the Big Cheese. I don't know who you are, but welcome, the Big Cheese. I've never seen you, but the Big Cheese made a comment about Governor Wes Moore, that he said, Governor Big Cheese said, Big Cheese, I want to make sure I get it right because I don't know you. He, she.
Big Cheese.
Big Cheese, but we love Big Cheese. Governor Moore is going to lose a critical mass of Black voters because he is against reparations, tangibles, and Black anti-hate crime bills, specifically for FBA only, no reparations, no vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
But he's not. But I mean, again, I don't know the full story, but I don't think he's against reparations. He was against a study, another study on reparations. That's what he actually vetoed.
Okay, thank you.
We'll clarify in the future.
All right, thank you. He said, Big Cheese. I just want you to know that. And Dr. Toole said they are anti-science in every way, be it warming of our oceans or huge deadly storms, vaccines, medicines, and research funding. Watch out for the Big Cheese. Trust.
Dr. Toole must know something we don't know
about the Big Cheese. And Raw Health stepped back into the panel, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, my brother. Raw Health said, hey, guys, many Trump supporters continue to be upset that their low skills and racism do not shield them from the consequences of their vote.
Now, there you have it.
That's a word right there. Raw Health.
That conversation that many people had no idea that they were going to be impacted by the insanity, and they have been.
Yeah.
Well, this is a huge segue for me because the Urban League has declared civil rights a state of an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. President Mark H. Morial and CEO of the National Urban League has sounded the alarm. Civil rights in America are in a state of emergency. And for those of you who may not know, civil rights is legal protections against unequal treatment in areas such as voting, education, employment, housing, and access to public facilities. Mm-hmm. They differ from civil liberties, which are more about fundamental freedoms like free speech or freedom of religion. Civil rights focus on equality and fair treatment under the law. According to the Urban League, this is not rhetoric. It is a somber warning that the protection so many fought and bled for are now under attack. Mm-hmm. Urban League has documented how key federal agencies, education, housing and development, health and human services, Department of Justice, even the Commerce Department are being reshaped to roll back equity. Programs designed to open doors to protect opportunity to ensure fairness are now being dismantled piece by piece. And let me be clear once again, this is not accidental or by happenstance. This is all part of a deliberate strategy to divide marginalized groups, to pit communities against one another, and to create exclusion where inclusion once stood. Decades of hard-earned progress are being undone. The National Urban League is saying it's not business as usual. This is an emergency. Civil rights are not slipping. They are being pushed backwards. And when civil rights are weakened for one community, they are weakened for all of us. Absolutely. So I said I was going to do this all night long if I get an opportunity. What we need to know is this. The future of equity, justice, and opportunity in America depends on our awareness and our action. The state of emergency declared by the Urban League is not just a warning. It's a call to every citizen, to you and to me, because if we do not resist, if we do not fight back, like was it Vogue is doing? Is that Vogue you said, Sean? Is not going to don't want to put
Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. Yeah. And I'll tell you about that in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. The decades of struggle, sacrifice, and progress will vanish right before our eyes. So the question is, what are we going to do about it?
Well, what I'm happy to see in terms of what folks are doing here in DC, and this is what I'm going to say is partly due to white privilege. What I'm seeing across social media throughout here in DC is that white people are able to say and do some things in terms of fighting back against the federal task force that I'm afraid that some of us as black folks can't do. For example, the young white man that threw the Subway sandwich at one of the task force officers. Great. He was arrested, but the jury was like, get this out of here. This is not even worth the case.
They refused to indict him. Refused to.
They refused, exactly. And then there's other videos of white men and women cursing out these federal officers, and I would love to do that. I would love to go in the face of these officers and say, "Hey, shame on you! Because when this is over, you should be arrested. You should be put in jail." But I can't say that because I'm not a white man, but I'm happy to see that white men and white women are doing that here in DC. So, Alvin, to your point, maybe that's one thing that people are doing, or more people could do to ensure that civil rights are not taken away for any of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I too have seen the social media posts where people have literally, as you said, literally been cursing out, like getting in the face that you should be ashamed of yourself. What are you doing? Being in contact with the person that's being apprehended, trying to get their name, trying to find out their numbers and so forth so that the relatives can be contacted, that they've been taken. But I agree with you. I look at some of those video clips and I say to myself, if a person of color acted in that way, the results may be different. But like you're saying, I'm really pleased that those who are in positions of privilege are utilizing that privilege in that way. So, yeah.
And I want to the big cheese has said something about the Urban League and said that the Urban League NAACP, was that Boulay?
Boulay,
Boulay, including the civil rights dinosaurs, are professional talkers and corporate beggars that are out of touch with the Black grassroots community. The big cheese, I'm gonna send you a guest portal link because I don't know who you are, but I need to know who you are because you have triggered some emotions up in here.
He definitely has some opinions about
some opinions. And Dr. Toole says so true. There are no equality with who is allowed to do what. People who need to put themselves in harm's way on behalf of everyone. And I thank you all because I'm looking for answers. I am definitely looking for answers. Okay.
Well, stories continue with some of the challenges that we face in the political scene. And I've often said to people, that one of the things, and I know, fellas, you guys know this well, we are all, as Sean said, Washingtonians. We're here in the district, and our local news is national news. And so we get to see, things that other cities wouldn't necessarily see up close and personal. And this next story talks about a recent judgment by the Supreme Court. It was a narrow 5-4 ruling, which means that $783 million in NIH programs, many of them targeting breast cancer, Alzheimer's, HIV prevention, and mental health research, disproportionately, of course, affecting marginalized communities, is likely to be cut. Now, let me go over some information very quickly for you. The administration is implementing substantial cuts to NIH grants, with thousands of research grants, particularly those related to DEI and inclusion. So diversity, equity, and inclusion being terminated, and overall funding reduced by billions of dollars. Now, this action has been challenged in court by several research institutions and states who argue that the cuts violate federal law and will have severe consequences for public health and the biomedical research enterprise. So what do some of the cuts entail very quickly? First and foremost, grant terminations. The NIH has terminated over 1,800 research grants, and the number of new awards is significantly lower compared to previous years. DEI-related cuts. A significant portion of cuts target research related to DEI initiatives, aligning with the administration's priorities of eliminating this. Impact on research fields, which is critically important. Some fields of study, such as research into the health of transgender people, have lost funding altogether. Quickly, the big issue for many people is they feel that these cuts are a violation of federal law. Now, the loss of billions in funding has forced research institutions to lay off staff members and could lead to the closure of many university labs. And plaintiffs who are trying to fight this argue that these cuts will lead to incalculable losses in public health and human life due to the reduced research on critical diseases. And as we said, many of them mentioned disproportionately impacting communities of color and underserved communities. So this is serious. We knew that these cuts were going to have a trickle-down effect, but when they are really directing the research to be able to move health initiatives forward at the National Institute of Health and all of these research labs and programs at colleges and universities that are under target, this is dangerous stuff, people. This is very, very serious.
Bobby, this is beyond dangerous. This is pure capitalism. Now, what do I mean? You mentioned cancer. You mentioned Alzheimer's. You mentioned HIV prevention. Okay, what good does it do these organizations, these corporations, when we know that from research with all three of those issues, they're close to cures. They're getting
closer.
Yeah, they're close to a cure on HIV. They're close to a cure for Alzheimer's. They're close to a cure on various cancers. So they are purposely, because of capitalism, delaying cures for these ailments.
They can make money.
To make money. It's shameful. It's
shameful.
Sickening.
It's shameful. And it's being supported, by an administration, again, that does not believe in science. Does not believe in science, and certainly understands the implications of these cuts in terms of which communities will be most directly impacted.
See, you all are like really, really. First of all, I love you all because you're giving me all kind of segues into my next issue or my next report. There was a time that wasn't so long ago after George Floyd was murdered that the world seemed to wake up. And millions took to the streets. Black Lives Matter became a rallying cry for justice, for dignity, and for change. There was solidarity. There was hope, you guys. For a moment, it felt like we were on the cusp of real transformation. But here we are today, and that wave has faltered. Vanity Fair put it bluntly. We are all George Floyd now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And let me say it again. We are all George Floyd now. Because what we're seeing today is not progress, it's backlash. This administration and his allies and their allies are pushing Project 25, and we all know what that is. They want to turn back the clock on diversity, on opportunity, as we've been saying all night, or justice itself. We see DEI programs that are under attack, voting rights are rolled back, and grassroots resistance is still fighting hard. Yes, but let's be honest, they're not winning the way they should be. The ground that was gained in the wake of George Floyd is being chipped away. So the question is, are we all now George Floyd? We feel like it. And with the system, with a system and with a movement, with leaders willing to put their foot, on our, collective neck, denying us air, denying us equity, denying us justice. Because if the answer is yes, that we are feeling like George Floyd, then the next generation is even more urgent. The next question is even more urgent. I'm sorry. What are we going to do about it? That's my message tonight.
Yeah, because it's a constant and consistent question almost about every story that we've heard.
I want answers, you all, please. And I do. I'm looking for answers. I'm ready to fight. I just don't even. I do things, but I just don't feel like. I feel like that something's on my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Alma's answer? She echoed the 92%.
I personally am participating in the 92% movement, but I have challenged each and every one of my non-brown friends and family to get up and get out to do something. That is what will make a difference. Brown people cannot do it alone. Amen. We're not the only ones affected. And Marco May is my beautiful brother here. He said, this is extremely scary. This has the potential to take every biomedical research back to zero, right? And can I interject also? Didn't I hear something that Sean, I think I said something the other night in the meeting, Africa, where they have found was it Africa?
Yeah, it was South Africa. Actually, South Africa is taunting that they may have a cure for HIV. Now, right now, it's only at a 20% rate. So meaning that when they give people this treatment, 20% so far are being cured from HIV.
And that's in South Africa.
That's in South Africa, correct? Yeah.
And the big cheese. Well, first of all, Rodney Brooks. So Rodney said something earlier. He said to make sure that the big cheese. He said, good evening. Let's make sure the big cheese isn't a bot. A bot. What? I don't know what
an AI generated kind of like.
Oh no! The big cheese came highly referred by Dr. Toole, Rodney.
I think Dr. Toole knows big cheese. Big cheese is not a bot.
It's not a bot. Okay. The number one solution to 90% of the problems in the Black community is to close the wealth gap between Black and white Americans by paying FBA reparations for 300 years of slavery. I'm sorry, I don't have a microphone that I can.
The big cheese is clearly in support of reparations.
I don't have.
Yeah.
Clearly.
No about that.
Clearly. Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Well, Alvin, you keep asking what can we do, and I think there's a lot we can do. And so I was in a meeting with Councilmember Zachary Parker the other night, and this same question came up. And we can send letters to our congressmen, to our senators, and we can spread the word to our Facebook friends and Instagram friends, et cetera, and so forth. But over at FEMA, the employees there have done something a bit different. They actually are taking a big risk. So let me tell you what happened here. So this is coming from CNN and News Press Now. The Federal Emergency Management Agency on Tuesday placed several employees on administrative leave effective immediately, just one day after they signed an open letter warning Congress that the Trump administration's sweeping overhaul of the agency could lead to catastrophic failures in disaster response. So the letter that they all signed is called Katrina Declaration. Of course, we know what that refers to, where that comes from, although that was during the Bush administration, but it still applies. The letter accuses President Donald Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, whose department oversees FEMA, of undermining the agency's capabilities, ignoring its congressionally mandated authority, and appointing unqualified leadership. The group calls for FEMA to be shielded from political interference and for its workforce to be protected from politically motivated firings. There you go. So an open letter, I think that's a good first step. Okay.
See, when you fool around and find out with FEMA, that ain't a good thing. Okay. Yeah. You don't fool around and find out with FEMA. When you start, again, we're talking disasters that some people are still reeling from before this person took office.
Western Maryland, I said it earlier, Western Maryland, those folks who overwhelmingly voted for the Orange Man still have not received any kind of federal aid.
Okay.
And so finally, as we talk about the folks, for instance, in Maryland who've not received federal aid, we want to close this segment of our evening around the ongoing retreat on the part of the administration around diversity, equity, and inclusion in terms of environmental injustice. Now, it's important to know that across the board, this administration's elimination of DEI initiatives and environmental justice efforts, from federal DEI offices to climate resilience planning, has shrunk support structures for underserved communities. And, we don't have to look very far for a number of kind of high profile cases of environmental injustice that support how disproportionately they impact underserved communities. We all remember the Flint water crisis, where a majority Black city had its water supply actually switched to a contaminated source, or the Louisiana's Cancer Alley, which was where a predominantly Black community lived near a toxic chemical plant. And the number of cancer cases in this community just skyrocketed. And it was clear that the impact of those toxic chemicals were impacting these people. There's no serendipitous decision as to where chemical plants are placed or where they are not placed. There was a conscious decision made in Flint to literally allow people to drink lead contaminated water.
I remember that.
That was not coincidental.
Yeah.
It's not coincidental. And it just adds to the ongoing and long-term history of distrust between communities of color and the medical profession, as well as the government. Again, we've talked about, that famous Tuskegee experiment where people the government was studying how a disease would play out in people of color, actually injecting some of them with the disease to see how it would manifest in the human body. Awful. So there is a long history of distrust and this whole notion of environmental injustice. Again, when America catches a cold, Black and brown communities catch the flu. It hits us harder each and every time.
But we know how to survive.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were, again, we're just giving you some of the gut punching stories that we wanted to talk about that happened in August. Okay, so thank you all. This has just been August, okay? But we're going to give you all. We got some entertainment news that we want to share with you all, and so I want to go back to what we talked about last week. For those of you who may be under a rock and didn't know, but on August the 25th, Little Nas X pleaded not guilty to 4 felony charges following a bizarre early morning incident in Los Angeles where he was found nearly naked on Ventura Boulevard, allegedly charged police officers and was hospitalized for suspected overdose. The charges include 3 counts of battery on a police officer and 1 count of resisting an executive officer. Bail was set at $75,000, and the judge required him to attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings. Additionally, though, the reports described how he was seen in only underwear and cowboy boots, behaving erratically, such as putting a traffic cone on his head and raising concerns from fans about the cause of this meltdown, whether mental health or publicity driven. I got one thing to say about all of this now that it's played out.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the policemen or the people who should be educated, or when someone's having like a mental health crisis? Where are they? Who in the you see somebody walking down the street in their drawers? That's a mental health crisis. I don't think there was anybody on now there. He said that I believe that the policeman could have brought out there, this is a mental health crisis. I don't think any of that was that they dealt with that.
That's one of the big complaints of many citizens throughout the country, that many police departments have not committed funding to support of mental health breakdowns. Like, you send someone out there who's ready to come and just end the situation, handcuff the person. We think of that young man who had he was on the spectrum, and trying to explain that touching him had a different impact than just touching someone without this issue. We don't fund mental health support through policing. It's all about come in, squelch the situation, handcuff them, and in some cases just shoot them.
Right.
Just neutralize the situation as best possible.
We should have more funding for mental health. And
I agree.
But I don't think this was a mental health case. I'll leave it at that.
We knew this was coming. This is why
we knew. Sean doesn't think he thinks it was a publicity stunt. And so I he said, so I get it. But at the end of the day, that's a very, you know what? I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say what I've been saying. Little Nas, get some help. And the Big Cheese said something else. I hope that he's investing his money the way he's supposed to.
And the Big Cheese said, I'm not a bot. He said, a bot. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
She said, "Don't you bot me?" Okay, we're gonna move on for that because we can be talking.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on for that.
I want us to talk about something that I discovered and share with the fellas, and it is really, really something that I encourage you to see. It's a new documentary on Netflix, and it's called Sunday Best. Now, if you're like me, when I first heard Sunday Best, I thought about the gospel show, the singing competition, but it's not that. This is as I said, a documentary that premiered on Netflix on the 21st of July and delves into the legacy of all people, Ed Sullivan and the Ed Sullivan Show, and particularly his role in elevating Black artists at a time of segregation in the United States. The documentary explores Sullivan's commitment to racial inclusion, spotlighting his decisive actions and insisting on booking Black performers despite pressure from CBS censors, segregationists, and even the Ku Klux Klan. They were all trying to tell him, you better not have Black artists on your show. Right. The film is rich with archival footage of legendary performers like Harry Belafonte, James Brown, Nina Simone, and interviews with folks such as Oprah Winfrey, Smokey Robinson, Dionne Warwick, Berry Gordy, and others. Now, beyond its musical significance, Sunday Best positions Ed Sullivan as a civil rights, not just an ally, but an accomplice. He was working for the cause, not just supporting it in theory, but actually working for the cause. His insistence on inclusivity made mainstream representation at that time possible. Who knew? All those years, I certainly know as a child, I was watching Ed Sullivan Show and seeing some of these very people performing without the knowledge at that time as a young boy of all that he went through personally to ensure that these Black artists would get that type of exposure. So I want to tip my hat to Brother Ed Sullivan. And I encourage you all, if you have Netflix, check out Sunday Best.
You know what? And they need to call you because you sold that, Bobby. You're going to make me go back and look at it twice. Okay? Because I really loved it. It really was good. It was good. But you know, if any of you are seasoned enough to have seen Ed Sullivan, the Ed Sullivan Show, you saw the number of Black entertainers that would come on that show. You left feeling better than you did when you arrived after you saw Ed Sullivan. So
I actually think that the Ed Sullivan Show was the first time I'd seen the Jackson 5, I believe. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I saw them after they grew up a bit, but if you saw when they were little boys, okay, I'll give it to you, Bobby.
Please send the best. That's what you need to take away from my story. See,
okay, entertainment news. Okay.
Well, look, I just want you all to know, I said it, and who's seen it? Have you seen it, Alvin?
Once. I'm gonna see it again because your PR stunt worked. Okay, it worked.
Well, I have not seen it. You know, I don't know if I'll see it or not. You know, that was before my time, so I never saw an episode of Ed Sullivan.
Are you really trying to get your feelings hurt on air?
No, I'm telling the truth. I've never seen an episode of Ed Sullivan.
I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. It's just the way that you're saying, well, that was before my time. I've never.
Correct. Him and Marco Mays both. Go sit down. Okay, right.
But anyway,
Marco.
Next. Okay, next.
Okay, anyway, the next story is a bit more contemporary.
Wow.
Okay, so there is a new musical coming out in October starring Jennifer Lopez. I'm not very thrilled about it because the movie is a remake of the 1985 musical Kiss of the Spider Woman, which is based off the 1976 book by the same name. So Jennifer Lopez is playing Ingrid Luna, who is the female lead, if you would, in the musical, who basically is the visionary of the protagonist, Molina, who shares a cell with his with a guy named Valentina. So Molina is the gay guy who is telling all these stories about Balenciaga and his love of the theater and the screen and his fascination with the female lead played by Jennifer Lopez. Now, I never saw the musical on Broadway.
Of course you did.
But I do still have the CD of the musical starring Vanessa Williams, and I read the book about 30 years ago. So again, I don't have much to say about Hollywood that's positive, and this is another example of Hollywood not being creative. Now, I will say that I do like the fact that with this new musical with Jennifer Lopez, they are really doing the right thing by having a Latino cast. Okay, because in the original musical in the film, a white man played Molina, and it should have been a Latino man. Okay, and of course, Vanessa Williams played the female lead on Broadway, and I think that character is kind of ambiguous in terms of her ethnicity. And the other guy, Valentina, he is, of course, is also Latino. So I do like that aspect. I like the fact that we're seeing a Latino film, if you will. We haven't had a full Latino movie in about 2 years, I believe. The last musical starring a Latino cast, if you will. But Jennifer Lopez, can she really sing those songs?
I don't know. You'll have to tell me because I sure won't watch her. I promise you I won't. So you all can tell me, but you can't kick a girl with a hustle. So you go ahead.
I'll see that. So,
you go ahead. So we're gonna say kudos to Jennifer. Real quick, I got some. Rodney Bryan says that the Jackson 5 first appeared on the Hollywood Bowl TV show on a Saturday night. They appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show about 2 weeks later. Yes, I remember. Oh, okay. Rodney's probably more seasoned than all of us at this desk tonight. But thank you, Rodney.
Wow.
I mean seasoned in watching TV.
Oh,
don't be trying to. Don't be.
And the
Rodney,
I love you, Rodney.
I want to. The Big Cheese said something. I just want to capture that because he said what I love about Trump. Ooh, hold on. Is honest about his what? His WS. What is that? His word. Help me out, because I'm not good with his WS. I'm going to say wild shit. And views, and he will force the FBA family to get a code and practice gatekeeping our culture and lineage.
What?
Okay, okay. Y'all heard that, viewers? Y'all just read the Big Cheese comment, so you all could go in there. I got one more piece of entertainment news. If you all need something else to look at, if you haven't seen it already, then. The Truth About Jussie Smollett, ladies and gentlemen, on Netflix. Okay,
it is also very good.
It is very good. It first aired on August the 22nd. It's a 90-minute documentary that revisits the infamous 2019 incident Smollett's reported attacked, the ensuing legal saga, and the media fallout. The highlights from this documentary is that it features interviews with Smollett, the Osundario brothers, if you all know who they are, the police officials, attorneys, and journalists. The film probes inconsistencies in the public narrative and suggests potential law enforcement biases or mistakes. Some of the critics have mixed reactions about it. Myself, I saw it and I walked away feeling like Jussie Smollett wasn't a total liar. That's what I can say. Now, I don't know why anybody would get beat down and grab your sandwich and get it, bring it in the house. I don't know why that sandwich was more important than you getting kicked in your stomach. I want you all to see the documentary because there are some points in there that will make you go,
Can I say this?
You can say whatever you want, Sean. Well, not whatever you want, but go ahead. Yes.
Any omission of the truth or facts is still a lie.
Okay, all right.
And with that, we're going to move to sports, ladies and gentlemen.
Jussie Smollett is what Marco Mays is calling him, and I want you to know that the Big Cheese did clarify. WS stands for white supremacy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. See, Big Cheese, I love you for being on this show tonight, but I tell you better spell it out, baby. You got to spell it out. Thank you so much. Thank you. Al McGill, what are you saying? You're not going to watch it? She's not watching him either. I do. But she will support and watch his siblings decorating shows. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you all, we are close to the end of the show and we're going to go over. So we love that you all are here. And my producer just put in here the W/S means white supremacy, but I saw it later, but I got it now. But here we go. Okay. But we are going to go, I'm so time conscious. But we're going to move on to some sports right now. And as you all know, the U.S. Open began this week on August 24th under a 15-day schedule and included a record $90 million prize pool with $5 million awarded to each singles champion every time they win.
And that beautiful Althea Gibson poster too.
But I've been watching the match, but this week it got so spicy, ladies and gentlemen. American Taylor Townsend defeated, Lavitia Jelena Ostapenko in straight sets 7-5, 6-1, advancing to the third round. But what happened after the match captured all of the headlines. In the post-match handshake, Ostapenko confronted Townsend over a net cord shot that remained in play. She demanded an apology, accusing Townsend of being disrespectful and uneducated and without class. Townsend declined to apologize, defended her conduct, and dismissed suggestions of racial intent, emphasizing she was proud to let her performance speak for itself. The confrontation sparked a heated exchange that went throughout the tennis world, ladies and gentlemen. Question: was Jelena Ostapenko in the right for voicing her anger after the match, or did she cross the line into being a sore loser when Taylor won fair and square?
Bobby?
I think she demonstrated a level of grace and eloquence that was beyond what her competitor deserved. I appreciate it. I think her outfit said everything that needed to be said. She came on fire, ready to play.
She came on fire.
Flames were literally in her skirt.
Yes.
And as she said, in the end, she let her racket speak for her. If she does not have a class or education, both of which she is educated, and two, she has demonstrated that she does have class, she certainly also has a win.
And I want you all to read up on her, please, if you can, if you got some time to read up on her, because the tennis world hasn't really made her feel appreciated because she's shapely, more so than the other tennis players. And her walk to success in playing tennis has been a struggle for her because she hasn't been able to do it because they're looking at her size. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that there's a story in there, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that.
I'm looking at her win.
But this is not new. We have heard these stories from Venus and Serena Williams. Althea Gibson, who faced all kinds of accusations and name calling as well. One should not be surprised at what some Eastern Europeans say about Black Americans. Mm-hmm. There's a history there. That's all I'm saying. Do your research and you understand what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But can we say something positive about the U.S. Open?
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, that Althea Gibson poster is fabulous. I want to say that. So.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The oldest player at this year's U.S. Open is none other than my favorite tennis player, Venus Williams. Now, Venus Williams received a wild card to play in the singles, but she lost in the first round to Karolina Muchova in a match that was 6-3, 2-6, 6-1. I think that says a whole lot about Venus Williams going to 3 sets in this wild card because she was dismissed from the very beginning. So she lost that first set. She lost that first match in the singles, but after losing, she did receive another wild card to play in doubles. And so she partnered with Leylah Fernandez, who is age 22, and the two of them won their first match at the U.S. Open. And now tomorrow, they are playing again. So let's get out there and watch Venus Williams, along with her partner Leylah Fernandez, kick some tennis butt tomorrow.
I can't wait. I'm team Venus.
I knew he was excited about that story. I know he was.
Yes, I was.
I've always seen it. Serena is great, but I always preferred Venus over Serena.
Yeah. Okay. I ain't gonna say that.
Well, we are kind of big time conscious, and I want to wrap up this evening with our story about one of the stars of the WNBA, and she is uplifted. She's a lightning rod for criticism, but there's no denying she's had an impact on the WNBA, and that's Caitlin Clark. She is the star of the Indiana Fever, and she is about to miss, unfortunately, her 17th consecutive game due to a right groin injury. The team will take on the Los Angeles Sparks in a game this evening, and the Fever, who sit in 6th place, are 2 games ahead of the 9th place Sparks with the crowded bottom half of the WNBA playoff picture. Now, Clark, who was injured late in the Fever's win over the Kentucky Sun on July 15th, does not have an official return timeline. She also suffered a bone bruise on her left ankle, which was the image that we saw a little earlier, due to a workout on August 7th. So they are working very hard to get Caitlin Clark back on the court. But there's no question that she is an impact player, and she has had a direct impact on the meteoric rise of the WNBA. And so we hope that she gets better soon and that she continues to bring good numbers and fans and all of that to the WNBA. So we shout out Caitlin Clark.
And in case you all are wondering, we are very equal opportunity here, okay? Caitlin Clark has done some. I don't want to regurgitate your story, Bobby, but to speak on her, she has done some incredible things for women's basketball, and how the success of the WNBA. So thank you, Bobby, for sharing that story. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our Let's Get Newsy, and for the month of August, right here before Labor Day. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight and allowing us to get newsy with you. We love it.
We do.
We
Hey,
really
do.
Yes.
We really do. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, next week. Before the countdown begins, because after September 26th, we are going on hiatus. And for our season 4 will close on September 26th, and we're going to be gone. And we'll tell you more about that as we get closer to September 26th. But next Friday, on September 5th, we have with us a show that we've been wanting to do with an organization called Seabury Resources for Aging. And our show next week, Caring with Pride, Navigating Aging in the LGBTQIA plus community. This organization is doing phenomenal things for aging, not just the LGBT community, but that and above. And we're going to have them here to talk about them, because a lot of us have parents or friends that are aging. And so this information will definitely be helpful to all of you. They will be here next week. And our words of the week this week, thanks to Bobby: if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. So speak up and speak out. And this is a quote from the amazing author Zora Neale Hurston. Bobby, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Sean and Bobby, for another great show. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. He said. And thank you, viewers.
Absolutely.
We love your comments and everything you guys put out this week. So,
and happy weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on a new live episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
Y'all be well, okay? Take
Have
care.
a great weekend. Hey, Diane.
Hey, Diane.